Welcome to London. So if you're considering or if you have decided to live and learn in London, you'll be living in the heart of one of the greatest capital cities in the world, in my opinion. So I've deliberately put this photograph onto the screen here because everybody must be able to recognise Big Ben. Big Ben is connected to the House of Parliament, and it's right on the River Thames and is in the heart of central London. But if you look closely at this photograph, we're on the north side in Studin Parliament Square, and straight ahead you'll see some buildings on the south side of the river, and by crossing Westminster Bridge there, the white building, circular building, the highest building there, that is DLD College London. And I think that gives you a great introduction to just how central this school is to London. The building itself is not completely taken by DLD College London. It is in fact a University Halls of Residence. It's used by King's, UCL, City, LSE, so many of their students are there. The building called Urban Est has its own separate entrance for those students, and so you never come into contact with them. DLD College London, if you see on the top left photograph, that has its own separate entrance. We've got a couple of students just exiting the main foyer, and the bottom right picture shows the entrance to DLD College. We have our own security there, we have our own entrance gates, so nobody is able to get in and out without a security card. It takes you straight into the heart of the school, which is arranged over 3 floors of classrooms, plus a basement for the recording studios and music facilities and drama. And from there are lifts directly up to our accommodation, which is over 10 floors. Again, those are completely separate from the university students, so there's no interaction at all. We are the only school within central London to have on-site accommodation. So once you're in our secure area, you are extremely safe. There's no walking from the school to the accommodation. And it makes it a perfect place to be studying in London. So the red circle on this aerial photograph of London shows that building, that white building, which is DLD College London. And you can see again back Westminster Bridge that I talked about, and over to Big Ben and the House of Parliament. So we have an absolutely superb view over the river. St Thomas's Hospital is just in front of us, which is one of the key teaching hospitals in London, one of our major hospitals. It has a separate children's hospital as well. And going along the bank from DLD College and Westminster Bridge, going up in the picture, you'll see there the start of what's called the South Bank with the London Eye. Again, an iconic viewpoint in London. And all along there, you're really in the heart of the tourist area and where all the attractions are, and there's plenty of things to see and do, and everything is on your doorstep, so it really can't get much better. Just around the red circle, just at the top of it, you'll see quite a large glass flat roof, and that actually is Waterloo Station. Now, the key thing to remember about London is that although you're looking at a huge city, London itself is made up of lots of small villages, and that's what makes it a great place to live, because you become part of your community and your little village in a way. So to the right of that, of Waterloo Station, you can see to the right of DLD's building is a small street there, and that street is DLD's community, and it's called Lower Marsh Street. So Lower Marsh Street is a fantastic area. To the left, you've got all of the tourist areas and where lots of visitors go. To the right, and Lower Marsh Street is where the locals live. So you're coming to London, you'll be living in central London, in an amazing, iconic location, yet you're part of a community. This community called, around Lower Marsh Street is basically full of cafes, small cafes, coffee shops where the locals will pop in and have a coffee. There's quite a few offices around, so lots of people who come up to London to work will pop in for lunch, and it's very vibrant during the day. There's lots of mini supermarkets, so you're able to pop out from school and go and get whatever you need from the supermarket. News agents, so you can pick up your papers, magazines, sweets. Lots of independent shops, so if you're looking for a plant for your room, or I don't know, a present of some jewellery for your mum, or a new item of clothing that's a bit different from an independent retailer, they're all there. In addition, there's a street market, which is quite famous, and with lots of food stores. So a lot of the students like to go down there and try all the different cuisine from different nationalities. So that's just to give you a flavour of really what's on your doorstep and where you can go within 5 minutes. Also in our neighbourhood, and just off that street, are the Leek Street Arches. Now this is London's longest legal graffiti wall. So it's very much celebrating urban culture, the urban culture side of London. Tourists here all the time, having a look and seeing, because the graffiti changes every day. You can see artists at work. But it's not only a place for the street artists, it's also a place for urban art, for dining and entertainment. You'll see down the corridor on the left-hand side, there's a lit up sign saying The Vaults, and that's a entertainment venue that has things like an immersive Alice in Wonderland, has been extremely popular over the last few years. And this is all on your doorstep. In addition, House of Vans is just next door, which is all about skateboarding. There are 2 areas for skateboarding with different types of bowls for all the tricks. So if you're into skateboarding, you've got that 5 minutes away, and there's cinema and a free art gallery. So, going back to the South Bank that I mentioned before, and all that curve along the river. So the South Bank Centre that we're looking at here, next to the London Eye, is basically a world famous classical music centre. There are 3 recital halls in there, covering all sorts of classical music and jazz music. There's also a contemporary art gallery called the Hayward, and it houses the National Poetry Library. So we go from urban culture within 5 minutes to classical culture within 5 minutes. And we've got another food market. So I think if you come to London and study here, you'll soon start to understand that we like our food, and we like all sorts of different foods from all over the world. Walking further along the South Bank, you approach the British Film Institute, which hosts a wide variety and programme of different world cinema. There's also the IMAX Theatre, which has got the largest IMAX screen in the UK, just nearby. Then we move on to the National Theatre, which has a very wide programme of plays regularly put on, and attracts the world's top artists, actors to come onto those stages. Incredible opportunities for any students interested in drama. The drama department to organise trips to the theatre, and to have the National Theatre right next door to where you're living is incredible. I talked about attractions. You can see the London Eye. We also have the London Dungeon and Aquarium, 5 minutes from the school. And again, further on, there's another skateboard park, which is great for the tourists, and locals like myself who like to go up and just watch what's going on, and street entertainers. So great in the evening just to have a wander, have an ice cream or a drink and sit by the river and watch what's going on. So I live in southeast London, which about 40 minutes away by train from the school, and it's a place that we all like to come up to and visit. So London is obviously very iconic. You've got the history with the royalty of Buckingham Palace and the Tower of London. I've put a picture of Tower Bridge in there for you, which is walkable from DLD. Big Ben and the Parliament that we've seen earlier. Then there's Trafalgar Square, Piccadilly Circus, St Paul's Cathedral and Westminster Abbey. These are places that you can get to so easily from the school. London also has its iconic attractions. I spoke about a few earlier, but in addition, we've got Madame Tussauds, the London Zoo, the Shard, which you can go up, the new skyscraper. It's the highest in Europe and gives you an amazing view over London. And also Harry Potter World, which is a huge favourite for children and adults alike. That you do need transport to get there, and I know that the boarding staff regularly run trips to Harry Potter World because it is such a favourite destination. And London is different to any other capital city in the world because we have so much green space. Hyde Park in the centre of London is enormous. You can go rollerblading, you can go boating on the lake, you can go cycling, skateboarding, anything that you like in Hyde Park. A bit further away, down towards where I live, is Greenwich Park and the Royal Observatory, and I've put the meridian timeline on that bottom photo. That is 0 degrees longitude, and you can stand either side of that, so you can have 1 foot in the west and 1 foot in the east. So I highly recommend a trip down to Greenwich. And Kew Gardens are our main botanical gardens, which are very easy to get to from the Waterloo station that I was talking about earlier. One thing we say at DLD is that our students are so fortunate because London is your classroom. We have world-leading museums, the British Museum in the top right with the new atrium, that has incredible collections that are equivalent to the Louvre Museum in Paris. The history is unbelievable. The Natural History Museum and the Science Museum and the Victoria and Albert Museum are all in the Museum Quarter in Kensington and are easily accessible again via quick tube ride from DLD. Not only is there the Tate Modern along just past the South Bank, which I talked about earlier, but there's also Tate Britain, which hosts the National Collection of British Art. And then there's the National Gallery on Trafalgar Square. So if you're studying the arts, these are some of the museums that you would like to come visit, either independently or as part of a boarding trip or as part of your own department's trips, if there's something that they'd like you to all go and see. I just thought I'd explain at the moment what's on in London. So this is just a selection at the moment of world touring exhibitions. So Titian at the National Gallery, it's the first time in almost 500 years that 5 of Titian's paintings have been seen together. It's amazing. Andy Warhol at the Tate Modern, a selection of his paintings, which is proving to be incredibly popular and so different to Titian. So, and then for the Picasso and paper at the Royal Academy of Arts. So you have access to book and attend these exhibitions that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see if you weren't studying in London. We also have world-class entertainment, of course, be it opera, Royal Albert Hall down there at the bottom. Live music. Many of the world's leading artists on their world tours will stop off at London and play at the O2 Arena, which is down in Greenwich, which is in the middle of the picture, and also potentially at Wembley. On the left is Shakespeare's Globe. If you come, I highly recommend having fun and standing in the pit and watching a Shakespeare play and enjoying interacting with the audience and with the actors on stage, pretending you're back in Shakespearean time. It's great fun, but you need to be able to stand up for a few hours. And if you want a sitting seat, then bring a cushion, is my advice. And cinemas, again, I've got a picture at the bottom of the British Film Institute, and the IMAX is just in the distance. But obviously the West End has all the premieres of major Hollywood films that are coming out. And again, they're walkable for you. And last but not least, of course, we have all our West End theatres with a huge variety of shows, musicals, dramas, all sorts there for you to enjoy. So also, London is your classroom. I've been talking to students who have just left DLD and what they've enjoyed most. And a lot of them said that they really enjoyed attending the free lectures and having access to these. So we have all the Royal Societies of the Arts, the Sciences and the Humanities. They all have programmes where you're able to go there and students enjoy lectures that are applicable to GCSE, A-level and foundation programme studying. The universities are also very active in offering lectures for potential students. So you can easily get to the LSE, to King's, UCL, and this is great because it gives you a fantastic insight into how these universities are operating, what they're like. You get a feel of the campus, and then you're able to start to reflect and make a decision as to, is this a university that I would like to go to? Are the tutors the sort of people that I can be inspired by, that I would like to learn from? And then we've got other major institutions such as the Wellcome Collection, which is all about health, Francis Crick Institute for Science, and the Guildhall and Gresham College also put on a wide selection of lectures covering the arts, humanities, all sorts of different opportunities available. So if you come to London, there's so much that it's really important that you embrace everything that is on offer because it's all here on your doorstep. Of course, there's the sport. I talked about Wembley before with its famous arch on the top left. I'm not naming any football clubs because I don't have a particular allegiance, but you might have your favourite. And the boarding house will get people together and go and watch a match together with your friends. There'll be great rivalry about who's supporting which team, but that's fine. So Wembley's the neutral ground. The Oxford and Cambridge boat race, I do encourage you to go down to Putney and watch that. It's great fun once a year. We're the home of cricket with Lords in the bottom right. So if you're a cricket fan, you would be able to head off to Lords or the Oval. And obviously the home of tennis with Wimbledon on the bottom left. And in the middle from the Olympics, that's the Olympic Stadium, which now obviously is home to West Ham, but is used still for athletics meets. There's also the velodrome for cycling, and what else is there? There's the hockey, and there's the aqua centre for the swimming sports. But let's not forget the shopping. If you like your shopping, you can't go wrong in London. We've got the what we call the High Street, Oxford Street. Probably take you a day to walk down it by the time you've visited every shop. Exceptionally busy. If you're into your luxury brands, you've got Regent Street and Bond Street, but also the department stores. So Harrods is worth a trip, whether you like your shopping or not, especially the food hall. Then independent shops that I touched on before. Well, Shoreditch has got all the vintage and edgy shops going on there, and it's the up and coming, well, it is the trendy part of London now, and that's in the east of London. Soho is still a great place to go shopping for independent stores and a different, unique look if you're into your fashion and art and photography, as well as Carnaby Street. But let's not forget the markets. We have so many markets, the biggest of which has got to be Camden Lock Market, which has so many different things and weird and eclectic, and it's like a flea market, it's like a bazaar, it's for clubbers, it's for all sorts of people. Portobello Road Markets, generally flea market and other stores, and then Covent Garden, which is on the bottom there, and that's got full of entertainment. You'll always find some street entertainment going on there, and is great for a bit of shopping and a bit of people watching. And food, our DLD students do like their food. We have a global kitchen in DLD College, so we cater for all sorts of different nationalities. Students are encouraged to talk to the chefs and introduce them to new recipes and tell them what they like and what they don't like, and then these are reflected in the menu that we offer. And we have a wide selection, but still Chinatown is a favourite destination. So Chinatown on the left there, and also the Chinese New Year is great to go and see the dragons in the streets. Brick Lane in the east is known for its curries, if you want a good curry. The Brits love a good curry, and also bagels. Soho that I mentioned before, if you look at the bottom left there, there's a little picture of, it's the oldest coffee shop in London. It's called Bar Italia. It's tiny on Frith Street, and it serves the best coffee, and no matter what time of day or night, it is always busy. Bizarrely, you can still always get a perch in there, a little stool, generally, because the turnover is quite fast of people going in and out. And it's opposite the iconic Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club. So again, a great place to go and visit, and I highly recommend you do. Bottom right is Camden Market, and gives you an idea of the volume of people that go up there and all the different food stalls that are available there. So back to my original photo, and here I've now dotted on all different places that I've been talking to you about, so you can see just how easy it is to walk from where you are at DLD to Waterloo Station and Lower Marsh Street, which is what I started with. There's a theatre right next to there called the Old Vic, which is very famous and has a great programme of plays. But coming to the river, you've got the first building next to Westminster Bridge houses the Aquarium and London Dungeon and some hotels, followed by the London Eye. Then you move on to the South Bank Centre, which has all the classical music recital halls and the Hayward Gallery. I haven't managed to squeeze in between there and the National Theatre, the British Film Institute and the IMAX, but they are there. And moving round past Bankside, following the river, you end up at the Tate Modern before you get to the Globe Theatre. Then across the river is the City of London that you can see in the distance there. So if you are interested in the FinTech course, it's easy to get over there. Coming back, you've got St. Paul's Cathedral before you walk back to Covent Garden. Then looping back around the river, we end up back at the Houses of Parliament and Westminster Abbey. Trafalgar Square is just off the picture there as well. I just wanted to point out here too that in the bottom right corner, there's a park there called Archbishop's Park. You may think, I have mentioned that we have a lot of green space. So from DLD College, that is the local park. There are 5-side football pitches, there are basketball, there's places to walk and sit, and that's where you would go for some of your outdoor sport. We do have our own little outdoor area that has just been remodelled over this spring and is ready to open later this month when the students return, that has a small astro turf for some basketball and sitting area in a little garden. So there is that, and also on the top of the building you'll see there's a balcony area which we have access to as well, and so you can go up there for fresh air and get a great view over London. But you'll also see that next to the hospital, just next to the bridge, there are gardens there that you can go and sit in. There are gardens next to the London Eye. There are gardens across the river called the Embankment Gardens, where you can go and in these hot days sit in the shade of the trees there. And then obviously close to the House of Parliament in Westminster Abbey is St James's Park, and that takes you down to Buckingham Palace. From there you'd go through to Green Park, and from there you go to Hyde Park. So really, with very little road and traffic, you can actually walk through to Hyde Park, probably take you about 40 minutes, but more or less completely in green space. So that's why I love living in London so much. Following that, getting around. So I do recommend that you walk as much as possible because you see and learn so much. But Waterloo, that I've pointed out before, is a major transport hub in London. It has trains to South West London, so you can easily get down to Putney for the boat race, Kingston, where Hampton Court Palace is, Twickenham, if you like your rugby and you want to go and see a rugby match. Also, you can actually get a train to Windsor from there and go and visit Windsor Castle. There are also trains to South West England, so you can visit Winchester Cathedral or go to Bournemouth and the beach, one of the nicest beaches in the UK. And it is a centre for 3 interconnecting tube lines, the Northern, the Jubilee and the Bakerloo, that will take you all over London. And the Waterloo and City line is just a very short one stop between Waterloo and Bank in the City of London. So if you are doing fintech, that's a very fast way of getting into the city. It's full of commuters who come up from Southwest London and England and work in the city. So in the morning and evening, it's packed full of the commuters. So if you want to go and see some Londoners at work, going to and from work, that's the place to go. But we also have options. You can walk across Westminster Bridge to get to Westminster Station, and there you can easily get on the Circle and District line. Or you can walk 2 minutes down the road from DLD to Lambeth North Tube and get on the Bakerloo line there. Once you get used to living in London, it's so easy to know what you're doing, and hopping on and off around the city is amazing. Santander Cycles, they're basically the bike rental scheme. We have a rack of bikes outside DLD College, so if you wish to cycle around London, you can easily straight outside reception onto your bike and off you go to wherever you're off to for the day. But of course, we've got the buses and the taxis. I do recommend black cab taxis over the Uber. I just feel that they're better registered. And then the Thames Clippers, at the London Eye, there is a pier for boarding one of the boats there, and you can go down the river as far as Greenwich or the other way to Putney. But people do use those for commuting, and tourists use them for having a look at the river and what's on there. But the most useful thing you can buy when you arrive in London is an Oyster card. They just cost a couple of pounds, and then you load it up with money, and that gives you access to all of the transport system in London. So don't forget, when you arrive, you need your Oyster card very quickly. So I just want to say to you all, enjoy every minute. And there's a very famous quote about London, and it's from Dr. Samuel Johnson, who said, "When a man is tired of London, he is tired of life." So enjoy. I do hope that you come. I came to London when I was 18 for university. I went to UCL, and I'm from the north of England near Manchester, and I've never left because I love it so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, were you still talking?
No, I know there was a question about co-curricular, so when that question comes up, I can put that up.
No problem. Well, I was just going to say thank you very much for that insider's guide to London. I think, it's made me want to go. So it's great to learn more about the area around the college. And obviously, Rachel is based at DLD. So if you do join us in September, I'm sure she'll be saying hello, and I'm sure she's happy to offer any tips for places to eat and shop and to have fun. Please do post any questions. I know we had a few beforehand, which obviously Rachel has prepped an answer to. But if you do have any questions that come off the back of that, please post them now via the chat and the Q&A, and we'll try to deal with those in real time. Obviously, when we email you the presentation and the recording of this session, obviously, please do ask any questions, and we'll put that to the team at DLD. But yes, Rachel, I think one of the questions that came back was just kind of asking for an overview of extracurricular activities, and we've actually had another question around that as well. So I'll let you answer that one, and then we'll see if there's anything else.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to share my screen again because I did see this question come up in advance. So basically, most of the departments offer clubs. So the science department, they enter national competitions called Olympiads. There's biology and chemistry Olympiads. So they have clubs for people who are interested in expanding their knowledge and going beyond the curriculum. It's all about DLD. Obviously, we teach you to pass exams, but we also want to instill a lifelong love of learning. So we try and encourage that learning around the curriculum and building your knowledge and making links between other subjects. So that's why clubs are so important to DLD College, and that's why we do encourage all students to participate in as many clubs as possible, because it's a great way of making new friends as well. So I talked about biology and chemistry Olympiads, and there's also the maths club, because they also enter the national competitions for maths as well. So we have the language groups, so there'll be Spanish or French or German, and that's encouraging debate and discussion in those languages to assist you with developing your language skills. And again, to discuss current events and ways of different cultures and ways of living, which is very important because DLD is such a diverse group of nationalities within the college. There are so many differing viewpoints. I think it's incredibly interesting for students and staff to learn about different cultures and different ways of living and different viewpoints on the same issues. There's obviously sport, so football is very important at DLD College, so a lot of the boys love to play football, so there's a football team and they enter different fixtures. We have a gym on site, which is in the basement of the building. If you're over 16, you can join as a member, but the PE staff do have access to it for lessons and clubs. So that gym is used for strength and conditioning. There's also a sort of dance studio area where the yoga classes are held and meditation. What else is on offer? I think there's a dance club as well. This is a sample timetable from spring. So boxing is a very popular club as well. The basketball team is very good at DLD College. We got through to the regional finals this year against some really good schools like Dulwich College that we beat. So very high level of basketball here. Oh, street dance, that was the other one that I was thinking of. And then also the arts department hosts a huge number of clubs, helping you with your portfolio, but also to cover life drawing, improving life drawing skills. And these are not just for the art students, but also for anybody who is interested and would like to join in. The same with photography. We have some debating clubs. And they call it the Bigger Picture Society, and current affairs. So you're encouraged to discuss what's going on, or your thoughts on the bigger picture. And also, what was the other one? The students, the other thing that I got from talking to students who are leaving is they've been really happy to be able to set up their own clubs. One, she really likes Dungeons and Dragons, so she set up her Dungeons and Dragons club and had been enjoying making new friends from that. And also another one had set up a chess club because he enjoys that so much. But let's not forget the music as well, and drama. So we have a couple of recording studios for modern music, but there's also a band, a choir and a ukulele group, and there is a brass band, an adult brass band called Regent's Brass, who use our facilities for rehearsal, and they're starting to work with our students as well, and we're hoping that they'll be starting a brass club as well. So I think that gives you a sort of a range of an insight, but that's what is available. Different departments are putting on clubs and encouraging that wider learning, but also we're here to help you set up your own club as well. Duke of Edinburgh is very popular. So I think I've covered everything there.
Thank you, Rachel. That's great. And I think what Rachel mentioned there, in terms of, we really encourage students to set up their own clubs. So we provide a lot of support to students who want to create their own clubs, and we really encourage that to get other students involved. So we really can tailor our club offering to what students are interested in. We had a little question about swimming, for example. And certainly the best thing to do is to let us know what you're passionate about. So our team, when they get in touch with you, our welcome team from DLD, if you're really keen on a particular sport and you don't see it on our schedule, let us know. And we can either look to set up a club if we have a number of students who are interested, or even if it's at a higher level. I know our boarding team and our pastoral teams in all the colleges are really good at facilitating students to continue their passions around their studies, whether that's swimming or tennis. We will try and find a local club or a local team that we can get you involved with. So even if we're not offering it as a standard club, please do let us know, and we'll do our best to try and facilitate that as well. So yeah, we can help you with the swimming, certainly, and there's lots of opportunities. Rachel mentioned we have the swimming pool on campus, but also in the local area as well. Please do keep sending questions. We've had a couple more. Rachel, what I'll do is I'll try and answer these questions, but please do just butt in and take over if there's anything you want to add. One of the questions was, I don't know who it's from, it was anonymous, but they've asked if there's any synagogues near the campus. Now I don't know the answer to that, being based in Cambridge, but I would suggest yes. There is. London has multiple places of worship, multiple faiths, so you will find a particular place of worship for whatever religion near to the campus. And what we can do as well, when we respond with the email, please do contact us and ask that question. We'll be able to supply you a list of local synagogues. And like I say, our pastoral team are very happy to help facilitate you visiting those places of worship to worship when you need to. And certainly if you're a younger student as well, they'll also be able to do things like accompany or arrange transport there as well. So yes, we will be able to provide details of that. The other question that we had was just around from Valentina. She just asked a question about kind of how we manage security both on campus and off, specifically for our younger students. And one of the things I would say is the campus is a very secure environment. I think one of the big advantages of studying at DLD is that you get to experience all the amazing opportunities that London can offer, but you also have that secure environment, that family environment with the protection of the boarding and pastoral teams. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. So for example, on campus, it's a very secure environment. We control access to and from the campus. So only our staff and students and people that we allow in, that we are aware of, are allowed into the building. We have security gates there as well, and we have security 24/7 CCTV. So within the school itself, it's very secure. Obviously, for younger students, if students are under the ages of 16, they would be considered compulsory school age students. There is a wide range of opportunities in London. What we will do, our pastoral and boarding teams will organise trips which are supported. So they're taken to places to experience some of the opportunities and some of the extracurricular activities. So it's managed by our pastoral team for those younger students.
Yeah, and
obviously, as students.
Sorry, they are allowed out, but only in the local area, and there has to be 3 of them. They're not allowed out individually at all. So, and they have to say exactly where they're going. So, you know, there are tight controls over who's going where and who they're going with and what time they're coming back. So,
brilliant. Thank you, Rachel. That's great to hear. And obviously, as students get older, you know, they do get a little bit more freedom, but we work really, really closely with parents as well. So we have established what the ground rules are at home, you know, what the family wants, and we work really closely. And obviously, we monitor our students to make sure that they are attending. You know, there are curfews in place, so we have quite a lot of checks and balances in place to ensure that it's a very secure environment for our students. They can experience London, but they also have that safe environment, and they have that safety net of the college and the pastoral and teams locally.
And I think,
brilliant.
The inspectors, when they came, they were astounded that how well DLD was able to manage security and safety of students whilst giving them a bit of autonomy and independence to go out and discover London, but still feel safe and secure. And that's why the inspection report came back so glowing for the boarding facility. And also we've achieved the TES Boarding School of the Year nomination, and now also Independent School Parents, Boarding School of the Year nomination. So it is something that we're very proud of, because student welfare is central to everything that DLD does. It really is. The welfare centre is in the heart of the school, and that is the topmost priority for us, because we're very conscious that we are in central London. So, you know, I hope that's reassuring for people.
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, really strong focus on safeguarding within the college. So I think that's kind of everything we've had. Please do feel free to post any questions in response to the email. But I think we've kind of hopefully answered all your questions and given you an insight into the location and all the amazing things that London has to offer. So hopefully that's got you really excited about joining us. I think what I'll do is I'll let Rachel say goodbye, and then we'll sign off.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. I hope it's inspired people to come and study at DLD College London. I promise you won't regret it. It's an amazing place, and the college really does a great job for the students. And I know that from the glowing reports that I read from the students. So thank you, everybody. And hopefully I'll see some of you soon.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely afternoon or evening wherever you are. Bye-bye.